Alrighty, so news of the week episode on this Wednesday early evening, and just to let you know that as we are going to have a full match week this weekend in MLS, it's actually going to be the last time we're going to have a full weekend's action until late June because that's when the Gold Cup break and also the Club World Cup break will begin, and we'll be definitely be talking about some of these Club World Cup game involving MLS team and also look at the Gold Cup as well, which yeah, it is not looking great for the U.S. men's national team right now because the national team have now lost four in a row following an embarrassing 4-0 loss to Switzerland yesterday in Nashville. Now, for those of you who asked me, did I watch the game? No, I didn't actually watch the game. I rarely watch friendly games, and also I didn't even know that they were playing yesterday as well. They didn't really market it very well, or at least let people know that yeah, yesterday was a game where the U.S. are going to be playing a friendly. They also said it's kind of a send-off series, which is a bit of an odd name because usually when you mention send-off series, probably because of a big tournament itself, even though the send-off is just basically for the Gold Cup itself. But yeah, like I said, there is a lot of concern right now in terms of the 4-0 beatdown and the concerns and also the doomers kind of in full force right now, and even the media itself that has been reacting following this loss is justified because right now this team is just an absolute mess right now. I have heard a lot of people that saying that Pochettino should be fired from this team after this embarrassing result. I will say this: I don't think they're gonna do it as much as I think some people will say it is, and I don't think it's the right time to do so because you're just before the Gold Cup that is going to happen, and not to mention you're also just 1 year away from the FIFA World Cup that is happening next year. That if you decided to let go of your head coach before the tournament begin, there's definitely a lot of unknown factor that is going to be in, and that is also kind of not really a good look. The fact that yeah, we got 1 more year left to prepare for this, and we're in the midst of this crisis that's going on with the teams clearly not playing the level that they have. And what's kind of disappointing in terms of how the team has been playing doing these friendly matches, which by the way, it's not just a 4-0 loss to Switzerland that's kind of embarrassing, but they also lost 2-1 to Turkey as well, a team that hasn't really made it to the World Cup the last couple of cycle and are not considered to be one of the powerhouse in European soccer. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of concern in terms of the fact that the current crop of the players, which when I saw the players that was announced in terms of these June international window and these friendlies, and also heading into the Gold Cup as well. I was actually excited the fact that I thought these MLS player was going to do well, and that I thought these kind of players will be different than what we see with the main team, where they're going to show that mental toughness and definitely show that belief that they're gonna work hard to try to win those spots that they are looking to try and get before the World Cup that's going to be happening in 2026. But instead, it couldn't be harder from the truth. It's been an absolute embarrassment to the highest level, and yeah, this is definitely a concern heading into this Gold Cup as well. I've already heard that some people say that the U.S. are going to get grouped in the group stage. I mean, I can definitely see why that could be the case because of these embarrassing losses and in terms of the form that the U.S. are in. But I highly doubt that is going to happen. And I'm also going to be interested to see what the response is going to be with the U.S. playing in that first Gold Cup game against Trinidad and Tobago. Which, by the way, I'm actually going to be attending that one. That game is going to be at PayPal Park, and I'm going to be interested to see they have the right response to do so because after these embarrassing results that we've seen in the friendly and also from what we saw in the Nations League as well, again, there's got to be a response that you got to say that this team needs to find themselves because yeah, we're 1 year away from the World Cup itself, and with the way how much of a mess this team is right now, and not to mention Pochettino doesn't seems like he is the level that we thought that he could be in terms of the bringing experience from the club level and use that way to motivate the team. Which again, I think this is also another classic example of just because you have a good coach in the club level, it doesn't always translate into the international game itself, and vice versa as well. We usually see sometimes club coaches struggle compared to when they're playing coaching in the national team level, and we're kind of seeing it right now with Pochettino as well. Now, moving on in terms of news that's not related to the U.S. men's national team, because that's been kind of the big talking point around the American soccer landscape for the past couple of days. So, Giorgio Yakimakis, there is a rumor that he is going to be leaving Cruz Azul and might come back to MLS. Now, that's kind of interesting considering that, Yakimakis, he did very well with Atlanta United before making that big money move to Cruz Azul. And obviously, to say that it hasn't worked out with him in Cruz Azul is an understatement. I mean, he's been pretty bad during his time with Cruz Azul, and you got to say Atlanta probably got away with highway robbery in terms of making $50 million for a guy that has his issue in terms of performing at the same level that he was with Atlanta United than he is with Cruz Azul. Now, will he have a chance to come back to MLS and maybe some team is going to give him chances? I think so. I think there are definitely a lot of teams that is desperate to try to give him chances, and especially with the way they already shown that he's a proven goal scorer with Atlanta United with the way that I think he scored like 15 goals before he left for Cruz Azul in last summer. There's no doubt that there's going to be bidders that is out there, especially teams that desperately are looking for number 9. I want to say Atlanta United might be that team to do so, but then you remember they also have Emmanuel Latelaf, and I don't think they're gonna bring back Yakimakis and reunite him. Consider they just spent so much money on the attack itself that it would kind of makes no sense, and in a way it would be a huge indictment in terms of the front office making a huge mistake building that attack, and especially that $22 million man in Latte Laugh. I mean, if you're gonna just replace with Yakimakis, that's kind of a bit of a redundant situation, and then he'll find himself in a difficult situation of, well, what do we do now? Do we put a $22 million man on the bench, or the fact that we're gonna want to play Yakimakis because we know we haven't had success with him before, but at the same time putting one of the most expensive transfer, if not the most expensive transfer we have ever seen in league history on the bench as a resort. Now, speaking of signing, there was actually a signing that happened this week, and in fact, it actually happened today with LAFC signing Javairo Dilrosun as a designated player on loan from and I say Cruz Azul. It's actually not Cruz Azul. It's actually Club America, the team that he is currently on loan for. He's going to be on loan for LAFC for not very long, only till July 24th with an option to buy. Now, this must be the shortest long term I've ever seen an MLS team sign. Consider he's only going to be there for a month, and we'll see whether or not if he perform well. It's almost like this is kind of like a prove it deal for him. The fact that he needs to get things going, especially for them to sign him on a DP level kind of contract. They hope that he is going to be the guy to help them at least on the attacking end. And if that is the case, then there is always an option to buy. And from what I heard, he hasn't really kind of lived up to his potential during his time with Club America. So we'll see whether or not that could be different coming to MLS. We have seen some players that haven't really did well in League MX, but once they come to MLS, they do find some success, and that's kind of the thing that LAFC is hoping with Dolores. And now, what's kind of interesting is that this is also the only signing we have seen with these 3 teams that is participating in the Club World Cup to have this special transfer window that they can be in to bring in some reinforcement before the Club World Cup start relatively soon. It's kind of interesting that only LAFC took advantage of it. I would have thought that maybe Miami or Seattle is going to try to add some pieces and maybe make some signings even within the league to try to booster their team. But no, it seems like they decided to stay put. LAFC is the only team to capitalize on it, and we'll see whether or not if they make the right investment to do so. Now, the Portland Timbers, Jonathan Rodriguez, he is set to have season-ending knee surgery, and this is kind of sad to see. And we saw that when Jonathan Rodriguez did try to make his return there at the beginning of the season, he just doesn't look like the same player that he was last season. And keep in mind, he's been having that knee problem ever since last season, where he kind of suffered an injury for his knee in the latter part of last season, and that's why he was kind of out for a bit. And it seems like maybe they kind of see that injury is severe enough that he's gonna have to go under the knife and try to repair it. So yeah, he's gonna be undergoing season-ending knee surgery, and I will say that it is a bit of a blow for the Timbers, at least on the attacking end. But their attack has done well. When you look at the pieces that they have, there's a lot of players that has really stepped up in the absence of Capacito Rodriguez. Though ideally they would love to have him on this team even before the season-ending knee surgery, because you can potentially bring a guy off the bench like Jonathan Rodriguez that has been proven to be a goal scorer for this Timber side ever since he arrived from Club America, and he's another example of a guy that kind of struggled during his time with Club America, but found some great life when he comes to MLS, and that's kind of what LAFC is hoping from Javairo Dilrosun as well. Now, Tom Barlow, he wins the Player of the Week, something that I never thought I would be saying in an MLS News of the Week episode, especially top out Player of the Week. I mean, not a big surprise. I mean, he scored a hat trick during this mini 5 game match week that we had during the international break. So anytime we of course score a hat trick, you're obviously gonna automatically win Player of the Week. But yeah, again, that's something that I definitely did not expect it. I'm pretty sure no one expected the fact that Tom Barlow would score a hat trick at any time of the period. But credit to him. I mean, he's been hardworking in terms of the limited minutes he has. I think he's actually done pretty well, even with the limited minutes that he has with the Chicago Fire. I mean, I never really know that he is known as the overlord of MLS, but he's actually performed pretty well, almost to the level that he was with the Red Bulls when he broke into the scenes. And yeah, that hat trick was definitely an example of it. Albeit, yes, it's against DC United. It's against one of the worst defensive team in the league. But yeah, this is something that I definitely did not expect. I don't think no one expected that Tom Barlow would get himself a hat trick in a game and is winning the Player of the Week as a result. Now, moving on, in terms of some of the news that's not related to MLS, so the Sacramento City Council has unanimously approved the plan to build the new rail yard stadium in the near future, and this is definitely great news for the Republic, because they've been wanting to build themselves that rail yard stadium for a while, and that it was pretty much now the question whether the city council will approve it. I had a feeling they were going to do so, because before they even voted for this, there was a lot of people in the city council that really liked this idea, and a lot of them predicted that it was going to be approved. Now, I didn't think it was going to be unanimously approved there, but certainly this is definitely great news for the Sacramento Republic building themselves that rail yard stadium. And again, that stadium used to be where the an MLS stadium is, when the Republic, of course, made it to MLS, only for it to not happen because Ron Burko decided to pull a fast one. And yeah, I do think that one day maybe there's still a chance that Sacramento could get themselves into MLS, but I feel like it's now less likely because of the recent announcement that we've seen with USL creating a brand new first division league that's going to rival with MLS in terms of the first tier status. And there's no doubt that Sacramento will feel like, well, why are we going to go to MLS if we can just stay in USL and join a league that is pretty much right on the same level as MLS, and when it comes to the pyramid of US soccer. And not to mention that rail yard stadium that they're building, it is going to be only 12,000 in the beginning. Well, it's 12 to 14,000 in the beginning, but there is a chance that they can expand it to 20,000, especially if Sacramento is going to be one of the founding charter team of that brand new USL First Division League that is set to play in the near future, as USL basically announced it. And not to mention with the way that league, along with other leagues in the championship and League One, that is going to be part of a historic first ever soccer league we have ever seen in the U.S., or at least the first professional soccer league in the U.S. that features promotion and relegation. Now, CONCACAF have rejected Greenland application to join the federation, so yeah, that's kind of too bad in terms of that, because I was really hoping that how is the U.S. going to feel when they have to go to Greenland in a frozen tundra land for a World Cup qualifier, or even in a CONCACAF kind of qualify kind of game. Well, obviously it doesn't it will not happen with this, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that playing in Greenland, you can't really play soccer in Greenland unless you decide to build a dome in the stadium. I mean, this is a country that only have their professional league in a couple of weeks because that's kind of the only time when the weather permits them in terms of playing outdoor itself. So because of, of that, and also the just the logistic itself is going to be an absolute nightmare as well. I mean, you don't expect some of these Caribbean team, or even some of these lower Central American team that may have to play some big qualifier games in Greenland. That's gonna be an absolute logistic nightmare when some of these nations don't even have the money to create the logistic to do so. I'm not surprised that they of course reject this application, but man, it feels like it's a huge missed opportunity to see potentially some of these Concacaf team, especially some of these Concacaf giant team, have to go to a frozen tundra known as Greenland to play soccer as well. And I can envision in the background there's like iceberg and penguins in the background that just almost like a peak CONCACAF kind of level game that we could see in the near future. And obviously it's not going to be happening because of of the confederation. They even say they unanimously rejected the application of Greenland coming into the CONCACAF region. Now, Inter Miami has released their new third kit, and I'm actually going to show you guys what it looks like because I have it on my phone right now. So this, of course, is the new third kit that, of course, they'll be wearing. Of course, it's kind of fitting that Messi, of course, is the one that is posting the third kit itself, and it's not a bad third kit. I mean, I know some people have already said that, yeah, is this kind of any relation to Argentina because of the fact that it is blue and white itself? It's the same color as Argentina. I mean, I guess, but then again, when you talk about Argentina kind of kit. It remind me technically have those kind of kit with the way that they had one that it's kind of like a stripy kind of pattern, which is very similar to what we see with the Argentine national team wear for their main jersey, and also what Barcelona wear for their main jersey for one of the year as well. But I think this is a really cool design as well. I always love the color blue on a jersey, and I think with the way that the color theme itself, it's a very cool third kit itself, just as good as the one that I currently have, which last year they released a third kit that has that teal kind of color, which is something that I feel like it's very Miami. I'm just also waiting for the time that they're gonna go with a Vice City kind of level of kit because you can have a Miami team not release a jersey that is a very Vice City theme itself, and I think that could be something that they might do in the near future as well. And then, last but not least, the final news we're going to talk about is the MLSPA continue to protest over fair share deal over the CWC and the CCC itself, and that of course is the Club World Cup and the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So obviously, the players in the MLS Player Association is not happy in terms of the amount that players, of course, earn throughout the tournament money and the compensation that a team of course get. They feel like all that money is basically pocketed within the league and especially from the owners, and not a lot of them are going toward the player itself. And I can understand why that is the case. Obviously, players feels like, hey, we work hard in terms of qualifying for these tournament, especially winning some of these CONCACAF Champions Cup game as well. We should be able to get a fair share of that rather than just pocket it toward the team itself, and also the league itself. And we also are seeing in terms of the fact that it's not just the Seattle Sounders that did that protest during the pregame wearing that t-shirt before the Minnesota game about this, but it's also just the fact that the MLSPA are pretty much back in terms of, and the fact that what's even makes this even more ugly is the fact that MLS itself. I mean, they're kind of almost doubling down by saying not only they don't like the what the players are doing right now, but they're even going to have some repercussion and retaliation over this. If that is the case, oh boy, the next CBA that they're going to ratify, which is I think it's after the 2026 season as well, that could be ugly. I mean, I'm just gonna say this. It could be ugly in terms of how things is, because right now there is definitely tension. I would say between the MLSPA and also the league itself. This is why when you look at the last collective bargain agreement that had to be agree and ratify. It took so long for it to do. It took long enough. The fact that there was a threat that the league could lock out for the first time in its history, and I feel like if this is going to be the case where the MLSPA not happy about this, and then the fact that the league and the owner are basically doubling down in terms of saying that whatever protest they're doing is not right whatsoever, and we will retaliate and do some repercussion for your protest that you're doing with this fair share deal. This could be an ugly battleground that could come when the next CBA is going to have to be renewed, and I would not be surprised if both sides doesn't look eye to eye to that. We could have a similar situation like what we see with the MLB a couple of years ago. It's kind of fascinating that when you look at around the other leagues, I think the MLB is a great example of it, of how much the relationship between the players and the ownership couldn't be further than any true. And there's even a lot of talk about the fact that the MLB could potentially are on their way to go for a lockout after the 2026 MLB season as well. So there could be a case where, if MLS is going to follow the same suit, we could have no sports that is going to be happening in the summertime if both of these leagues are going to lock out itself. And that's a very scary kind of situation that we could be heading in, and also just kind of a situation where, if MLS is going to not be locked out just like what the MLB is going to do, that is a huge missed opportunity for MLS to capitalize on the fact that, well, since there's going to be no baseball heading into summer, MLS is really the only league to watch to, and it's a great chance for them to capitalize in terms of bringing the casual fans and continue the growth of this league. Well, there you have it. That is pretty much it when it comes to the news of the week in this week. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these news, and if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below as always. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.